Coming up on Locked On NBA, where do the Lakers go now that they've signed Luka Doncic in for the long term? What's their future look like? What's the best division in the NBA for the 2025-26 season? And Haize and I will tell you what bugs us the most, what drives us nuts when players do it on the court. We will talk about all that and more on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA, your daily source for all things NBA from the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and being a part of our community. Appreciate you guys joining us, whether at youtube.com/LockedOnNBA or listening to us wherever you get podcasts. Do appreciate those 5-star reviews. Make sure to hit us with those this week, as we are solo, duo this week with me and Haize. I'm Matt Moore. I write for the Hardwood Paroxysm Substack. I'm on the Action Network. I host Locked On Nuggets. He hosts Locked On Bulls, as well as covers all things Chicago sports across like 1,700 different podcasts. Like the number of how do you not get sick of talking Chicago sports, man?
I don't know. It's just ingrained in who I am as a person, I think, at this point.
Yeah, well, we've all got our flaws. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. No Doug Branson this week. He's on assignment building a shrine to Joe Mazzulla. On today's show, we'll talk about what bugs us most. We'll get into the best division in the league, but we're going to start today with this, Haize. So Luka Doncic signs his extension. If you want to hear the reaction to that and what it means in the short term about the Lakers winning that kind of battle, all those types of things, you can listen to Locked On Game Night on this feed. They covered it in detail over the weekend twice. But Haize, I want to kind of like pull this a little bit further. I want to take a different angle on the Luka Doncic conversation and ask this. Okay, obviously the trade for Luka Doncic rearranged everything, rearranged their present, their future, the whole shebang. Locking him in was the second thing, and they worked very hard on pitching him on the future of him as a Laker with like all of the things that comes with that, all the financial opportunities, what it means to be a Laker star. Did the job, got the money locked in. He's locked in. He's going to be there. No more of this, like, he's going to leave the Lakers, which I always thought was ridiculous. My question for you, Haize, is this. What does the next 5 years look like? They put this together, this roster with DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart. I don't know how many of the guys on this roster are like long-term plays, right? Obviously, LeBron James comes off the books next year. No indication that he's going to return on. And if he does, it's going to have to be on a pretty cheap deal in order for the Lakers to make that apparent. Rob Pelinka said at the presser, it'd be great if LeBron retired a Laker, which was about the most dismissive thing you could say of the man. Like, yeah, if you want to, that'd be great. We'd love to have you, old man. But to you, what does the next 5 years of this look like with Luka Doncic?
Man, I mean, as it stands right now, I mean, a lot of regular season wins and not much playoff success. But, you know, I don't expect the roster to stay the same. I think they're gonna make their big splash in the next two free agencies is what it feels like they're lining up for and preparing themselves for. And that's gonna really change. But I think the next 5 years is just building the right team around Luka. You're gonna have a fun basketball team, but I don't think that they've done things that I could say that I clearly see a title in their future as things stand right now. They still got a lot of work left to do, but that relationship with Luka seems like it's very solid. They spend a lot of time, getting that to where it needs to be, so then they could focus on going out there and building hopefully a championship team.
Now, we'll say Luka's only under contract for the next 4 years. I'm assuming he re-signs. Mark Stein reported this morning on his Substack that when Luka's extension eligible on his next deal, he'll be eligible for a no-trade clause, which you would imagine would have to be part of that conversation. Again, I don't think that there's any sort of need to worry about that. Who would trade Luka Doncic? But Haize, like, what do they need to get? Like, is Ayton good enough? Could Ayton be the long-term solve at center? What are the things that they need to put around Luka? If they're pursuing another star, who does that look like? And how many of the guys that are current on the team maybe have to go if they're going to get those guys?
I mean, as far as your first question with Ayton, I mean, he could be. Ayton, if he ever locks in and engages, I think people have forgotten how naturally talented DeAndre Ayton is as a player. He's a really talented player. The problem is that it doesn't seem like he cares much about refining that talent and getting better as a player. Now, I don't know if that all of a sudden is unlocked being in LA, but if Ayton were to ever tap into that full potential, yeah, maybe he could be the guy that you need out there with Ayton as far as at the center position. I think you still need another star, but I'm not willing to bet on that. So what do they need to do? I think that there's going to be a lot of roster overturn here within the next couple of years. I think you ideally want a guy who's a really good point of attack defender and a 3-point shooter out there with Luka. Now, I don't know if that you're going to find a star player who brings that, but I think that's a big thing of what you want. Of course, you need your lob threat and you need switchable defenders. You need a bunch of them. You need at least 2 to 3 guys that can guard 2 to 3 positions on a team with Luka Doncic on it. If you start having that, that's when you start being able to get into that realm of having that championship caliber team.
I think the defensive side of this is maybe the most important thing. You can coach up defense pretty high. I do think if you look at this roster and you're like, okay, Marcus Smart's an above average defender. He's elite when he's healthy still, but we don't know what you're going to get from him night to night. It's been 2 years since he played meaningful basketball. Losing Dorian Finney-Smith feels like a really big deal. That was a Luka guy who was like a 3-and-D guy. Now he's gone. They don't have a lot. They lost Max Christie, who's got good defensive chops. They don't have a lot of wing defenders. I will continue to say this. I don't think you can build a contender with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. I think eventually it's going to have to come to Austin's going to get traded for the defensive player that they're going to need. Whether that's Jaren Jackson Jr. out of Memphis or the next great kind of defensive player to come along. It doesn't seem like Chet Holmgren's going anywhere. I think he's probably more likely to stay in OKC than J-Dub if they have to make a choice between those two, and they don't have to make a choice for a couple of years. But I am kind of curious who that's going to be. It's going to be whatever I think the next great defensive superstar that comes out. I think that's probably going to be who the Lakers will target the hardest, of who enters their prime as an elite rim protector to be able to pair with Luka. It needs to be somebody who can screen and roll, catch the lob. Ayton can do all those things, but it's also got to be a really high level defender. It's got to be somebody who is, if not Rudy Gobert, then at that level as far as being able to rim protect, which is what's so crazy because it's that's going to be Derek Lively. Derek Lively is going to be that guy, but maybe Nico Harrison will just trade him to the Lakers. That's my big thing here, though, Haize, is I think they're going to need a defensive big man, and then they're going to need 2 to 3 3-and-D guys. I really don't know. I think the best version of Luka isn't ball dominant. It's when he does take a little bit off of the possession usage like he did with Kyrie in 2024. I just don't know if that's what he wants. And if they're hell-bent on giving him everything that he wants, Luka wants to run Harden ball. He wants isocentric, dribble the ball into the earth, kick out plays. That's how Luka wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's more important for them to find another ball handler or to add those 3-and-D guys and go all in on a 2018 type Rockets run with Luka as an upgrade over Harden?
Yeah, I think the Rockets run. I think that's going to be the easier path to get here. If you get those defenders, I think that's the key. Now you may still need that ball handler to get you over the top, but I'd be targeting those defenders first, getting that around Luka, because I think that's the key there to getting the best version of Luka Doncic and to maximizing on his skills while mitigating some of his shortcomings as a player.
Coming up, we're going to talk about the best division in the NBA. Is it in the West? Is it in the East? We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. If you share finances with someone, significant other, just somebody that you're partners with, how has Monarch helped you stay on the same page? It's going to help you be able to see exactly what's going on across accounts, so you can manage everything in a complete picture. Having that big picture perspective is really great. The app is great because it's a do it in one app. There's no need to go anywhere else. You're not having to open other tabs. You can do it all in one application. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Back here on Locked On NBA. Thanks for joining us, making us party today. Appreciate you guys being with us. Matt Moore alongside Haize. With you this week is Doug Branson is out, and I miss all of our bells and whistles. I miss our background music. I don't know how to do all that. We usually have clips from the other shows. I can't do that. Bear with us this week as we get through this week of the off season without Doug Branson. Haize, I got a real simple question for you. What's the best division in the NBA?
That's a great question. When you put that on the list, I immediately thought I knew which one I was going to pick. But then, I mean, you look at these divisions, and I think the Southwest is going to be a really tough division this year. The Spurs are going to be good. The Dallas Mavericks, I think, are going to be a tough team. I don't know what's going to exactly happen with the Memphis Grizzlies. The Pelicans, if Zion can stay healthy, is going to be, I think they're a decent enough team to add some depth there. Look at the Pacific Division, like the Phoenix Suns are there, and the Kings, but the other three teams are all going to definitely be playoff teams. The Northwest, they got the Jazz in it. That's going to automatically bring down that division. So it's between the Southwest and the Southeast, to me, are the divisions that I'm looking at that I think could be the toughest. And part of that is because your Washington Wizards have grown on me a lot this offseason.
Let's go! Wizards Hive. It's crazy that the Southeast Division now is like strong because it's been they've been the play-in tournament division for the last couple of years now. Like every year, the division winner comes out of the play-in tournament. But with the Hawks getting better and the Magic getting Desmond Bane, Miami getting Norman Powell, like they should be competitive again. You do have the Wizards. The Hornets are still going to be terrible. I will actually make a pitch here. There's two divisions I have this down to, and it's actually the Northwest, which we'll come back to, and the Central.
Okay.
So if we look at the Central, all right, Cavaliers are the best team in the Eastern Conference, no question. Like they won 60+ games last year. They are stacked. You've got the Pistons, who probably should have beaten the Knicks last year, a team that went to the conference finals. I think they'll be better this year. You've got the Pacers, no Tyrese Halliburton for sure, but still Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, young talent, Rick Carlisle. Like I'll bet you the Pacers are competitive. And then you've got your Bulls, and you got the Bucks, Giannis, period, Giannis, and then you got your Bulls, which don't appear like they're not rebuilding, they're not tanking, they're trying to build with Giddey and or Kobe White and or Miles Buzelis. So they're kind of young and on the upswing here. I think that there's no team in that division that I look at and go is awful. The top is not as good outside of the Cavs, but if the Cavs are the best team in the conference, I think doesn't it kind of have to be the Central Division?
I mean, that's a great pick there. I guess for me, like I love the Pistons. I like their roster, and that sucks for me to say that, but I like a lot of their roster. And I love the Cavs. I have question marks about every other team in this division. The Pacers, I think, are going to be a tough team, but I don't know how many games they're going to win unless, like, Ben Mathurin, Nembhard, somebody takes a monumental step. No Halliburton, no actual, like, big man depth there is a bit of a question there for me. The Milwaukee Bucks, shout out to them for doing what they did and thinking outside the box to try to convince Giannis to stay. I still don't think they're going to be a great team this year. And then the Bulls, listen, I try not to be a homer all the time on the show. I'm one to call out my team for being bad all the time. And while I think that this is a team that's gotten better, Io's going to be healthy. You added a Kuru as a point of attack defender that's going to go there. If Modest takes another step, Kobe's going to start off the season for the first time in the same role he ended the season on. No role changes or position changes for Kobe, but it's still. They went on such a hot streak to end the season that I'm not at the point, and maybe my pessimism as a Bulls fan to think they're going to do that for a full season. So that's why I have doubt on the other three teams in the division. I still think it's going to be a fun division to watch. That's for sure.
I'll make the play for the Northwest here as well. Okay, so we've got the best team in the Western Conference, the best team in the league, the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They should still win more than 60 games. That's insane. I usually don't like saying they should win 60+ games, but we are kind of in an era where that happens routinely. they're going to win 60+ games. You've got the Nuggets, who a lot of people feel are either the second or third best team in the conference, that they are a title contender again with the additions of Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown and Jonas Valanciunas and Tim Hardaway Jr. So like they're making a run at it. The Wolves have gone to the conference finals 2 years in a row, and everyone's going to be down on the Wolves this year because they lost to Akil Alexander-Walker, and they're going to be like they kind of peaked. We were talking about this on the squad show last week. It was like this idea of them having peaked. I'm not sold on it. They got great coaching. They've got Ant. They've got Gobert, who's still such a great rim protector. Like the Wolves are still going to be really good. Terrence Shannon Jr. is good. So they're going to be great. The Blazers, tough defense, a lot of internal improvement. They've got Hansen, right? They've got Donovan Clingan, monster rim protector last year. Their center position is stacked. They have a lot of ways to be able to make trades. Scoot Henderson, this is a big question mark with him, is like, can Scoot turn into the guy that they need him to be? But like the Blazers were tough out last year, and they should actually be competitive this year. So it really is just the Jazz. And I kind of agree with you. Like they're going to be awful. That's pretty clear. They're going to be terrible, which I wonder what that means for Lauri Markkanen. But when we look at the top four, I don't think that I don't think if you rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to find a better top four than you are in the Northwest Division, even with the Pacific.
I like the case that you made there. I mean, and I do think like the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Wolves are going to make that a tough division regardless. The Portland Trailblazers are going to be an interesting team to watch because they've been saying all the right things about wanting to make the playoffs this year, giving a go for the playoffs. I think their moves has also indicated that they are a team that's preparing to try to start making playoff runs here, and I think that's really good. It really is just the Jazz that weigh them down. The Jazz are just they have no goals at all this season other than trying to tank for lottery odds. So there's that.
Worst division's got to be the Atlantic now, which is crazy because it was so strong for so many years. It was like every year, like 4 to 5 playoff teams. Yeah. Knicks are at the top. That's obviously great, but Celtics without Tatum, Raptors still rebuilding, Nets obviously rebuilding, and then Philly. Philly's got a contender. So they've got 2 contenders, I think, in there. But Philly always comes to the injury questions. That's going to be, I think, the weakest one. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. And just based off what we know, like we know that Philly's going to have health this season, then they could be a dangerous team still, but it's just so hard to bet on that.
I will say, if in the Southwest, if Houston, it doesn't click, if it doesn't work immediately, if it's like Houston like regresses and surprises us and isn't all that good, that division all of a sudden is kind of like, you got the Mavericks without Kyrie and Wembanyama, but there's not a lot else there in San Antonio, and the Grizzlies lost Bane, and Ja's always hurt, and the Pelicans are a train wreck. Like the Southwest could be great. It could be terrible. I feel like that's the upside and downside of that division.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Southwest is good. I'm in on the Rockets. I'm all in on the Rockets. So
yeah, you are Rockets propaganda on this show.
Yeah, I love the Rockets roster. I love a lot of their players there. So I think they're going to be there. I'm higher on the division than you are, but I can see your points there as far as it not maybe being that good. It really, and John, the Memphis Grizzlies is going to be an interesting team to watch. With trading Bane and what they replaced him with, younger players, as a player like G.G. Jackson rediscover some of the magic he had his rookie year. Like it's going to be a fun team to watch, the Memphis Grizzlies, and see how they go at the start of the season.
Coming up, we're going to do a very simple hater segment, and I'm just going to ask Haize what bugs him when players do it on court. What's the habit that drives him most nuts? I'll give you mine as well. We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On NBA. I want to tell you about 5-Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. The most ridiculous shot I've actually seen ever made was actually in it was on a Golden Tee machine. I'm not kidding. There's a Golden Tee machine circa 2008. That was the best golf shot I've ever seen. There was a guy in there that was so good. He could have played Golden Tee professionally. That's how good he was at Golden Tee, but he had to stay sharp. And you always know with that, you need 5-Hour Energy. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use our promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. Offers only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code's not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing power and boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-hour energy shots today. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Back here, final segment with you on a Monday on Locked On NBA. Tomorrow's show coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about this Milwaukee Bucks situation, and it's a really, I think, fascinating question of, is Shams Charania constantly saying that things are not done with the Bucks a story, or is it not a story? A lot of good conversation, I think, to be had on that. We'll talk about what Haize thinks tomorrow. But Haize, we end today's show with this question because I want to get to this. We watch a lot of basketball all year round, always watching. What is the one habit that when you watch and you see a guy do this in the NBA, it drives you absolutely nuts?
A mix between flopping and whining to the refs. Like when I first got hired here on Locked On, one of the first things that I did to endear myself to, I guess, to our boss, basically, and Nick, is I would send him clips of Luka Doncic whining about to the refs, like just daily, on a daily basis. Like it frustrates me because, like, I think if you just go and try to finish hard, you get the same result without like turning and looking at the ref after every play. Like that's just something that maybe that's just the old school mentality. Maybe that makes me a boomer. I don't know, but like that's just something that it really frustrates the hell out of me. Irrationally, it's irrational. I'll admit it, but it still frustrates me.
Do you ever wonder if it happened in the 90s and when we were coming up and we just don't remember, in the 90s and 2000s, that this like happened all the time and we just don't remember it? Like, is it possible we just don't pay as much attention, in part because there's so many more camera angles and quick cuts and like close-ups? Like, is it possible that but also, like, I just can't imagine any player from when I started watching basketball in 1990 through like 2012 of a player literally like not getting back on defense because he's complaining to an official. That's like where I go crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Like Wade would complain at officials while he's jogging back.
Yeah.
Like LeBron will berate officials when there's a whistle, but never like live during the game.
And maybe that's the thing. Like it's the fact that you're taking out the next play because you want to complain. Like that's the part that I definitely don't think happened in the 90s. Whether players complain to refs in their own way or not. Okay, that's actually a great point by you. But now it's just like it's the lack of effort, and it's like players get so caught up in that, or when they go on the next play and they'll just make a completely bad basketball play trying to force the ref's hand again. It's like come on, let's just focus on the game of basketball, man.
Mine, I have two. The first one is a pull-up contested three with more than 17 seconds on the clock. I do think primarily of LaMelo Ball with this. This is the first player that comes to mind. And it does matter. And I think a reasonable counter to this would be like, well, about Steph Curry, right? And this kind of falls in the same category as when we talk about analytics. And it's like, analytics tells you mid-range are a bad shot. No, analytics tell you that mid-range from guys that can't shoot 45% or better from mid-range are a bad shot. I still, with Steph, I always kind of do feel like it's a bad shot. I'm just like, why don't you work the offense to create a better look? Why don't you work to create like a high efficiency shot? And if you can't, then take a contested look. Why opt for a consistently inefficient, lower percentage shot? Yes, it's devastating when it goes in. When Steph rises and fires from 35 uncontested and knocks it in, yes, it leaves the defense absolutely destroyed. And it's a great entertainment moment. And I get that. Like the entertainment aspect, I totally understand. But I'm just always kind of like, why don't you work for like a better shot? It's okay to take contested shots if the defense covers you. But I never really understand this idea of we're just running up the floor and I'm taking it, especially from guys like LaMelo who aren't efficient enough to be taking those shots consistently. It always happens when like a team is on the run too, right? Yeah. Like they're on like an 8-2 run and they've got them on the ropes, and then somebody decides to try and go for the kill shot. And I'm like, guys, just work the offense. And I feel I worry I'm too not only old school, but like traditionalist white dude here being like, you should run good half-court offense. Like, I don't like doing that. But it does drive me nuts, though, when it's like, guys, you guys have so many weapons. Use them.
It's the flash over substance, right? Like a lot of players now go for the flash move, and the move that undoubtedly will get the crowd in it. Like, and that brings its own momentum shift. But they do that over substance sometimes when it's like let's not break the offense, let's not break the momentum. Let's just keep, as you said, working the offense and get a good shot. But I mean, there's probably two podcasters in the alternate universe of this, Matt, saying that that's exactly the play that they want to see these players make. What we're saying, hey, no, make the right basketball play.
Yeah, those podcasters are the 23-year-old version of me. That's who that is. The 23-year-old version of me was like, go for it. That's awesome. Screw it. Yeah. The other one, this is a very niche one. When you're a defender and you're closing out, when they give up the baseline, it absolutely drives me insane. Like, the one thing you should be like, I understand that a lot of these guys have counter moves to the middle of the floor to be able to hit the floater and the fadeaway. But like, that's a harder, the reason they work on that is because that's a harder shot. You give them that baseline and they've got the kick to the corner. They've got the whip pass underneath to the guy cutting down the middle of the lane. On post-ups and on closeouts, if you give up that baseline, it makes me nuts. It's just a simple attention to detail. Close off that angle. Only give them one lane so you're not trying to adjust both ways. So these are the type of things that drive me absolutely nuts when we talk about the game.
Yeah. That, you know what, something too, like, I know we've been a lot on the players, but I guess my quick thing to throw in here is that something that really irritates me is that when coaches can't draw up good inbounds plays coming out of timeouts, like what were you in there doing? Like it happens a lot to us, the Bulls. It happens a lot, I think, in the game too, where like you call a timeout and then they'll get to inbounds play and they have to call another timeout, or it's a sloppy play just getting the ball. And like there's no reason why a sound inbounds play is not possible when you call a timeout to get it. Like when you don't call a timeout and you're rushing, okay, you got that if you're trying to not stop the flow of the game. But if you call a timeout and you can't get an inbounds play in after timeout, that's just terrible execution or terrible coaching. There's no excuse for that to me.
The Jazz turned it over 17% of the time after timeouts last season.
That's crazy. See, that doesn't make any sense to me. That just makes no sense.
Blazers were second at 15.8. Hornets were third at 14. Is noticing a trend of the tanking teams. Wizards were fourth. Grizzlies fifth. And then the Chicago Bulls, sixth highest turnover rate at 13.7%, and an equally terrible points per possession mark as well. So, yeah, I'm with you where it's like, come on, like you got to be able to execute something. I'm not expecting you to do wizardry all the time. Most teams have always seen the plays that you've run. Everybody runs the same stuff, but you can't fail to execute coming out of a timeout.
Yeah, it doesn't make there's no logical sense to that unless you're getting outworked in the X's and O's by that large of a margin. If that's the case, I don't know what to say.
Bad challenges have become one of my things that drive me nuts. Rob Mahoney at The Ringer referenced this chart that somebody made on Twitter that it's excellent for it's a flow chart of when you should challenge. Does this save points? Yes, you can challenge. Does it save points? No. Does it determine possession late in the game when possession matters? Yes, you can challenge. No, you cannot challenge. It's very simple. Like these guys, when it's just, unless it is your star players fourth in the first half or fourth early third, there is no situation to me where you should be challenging some of these things. Like coaches just use it so willy-nilly. Save it until the end of the game and save it for a possession that matters for points. Not using this gift that the league has given to you just means we have a random stoppage we didn't really need when you're going to lose it half the time anyway, and it doesn't impact the game. Bad challenges are terrible to me. All right, that's going to do it for Locked On NBA. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about Giannis and the Bucks and their future. We'll get into some more conversations about ranking some different things, and we'll carry on with more on the offseason. Make sure to follow Haize on Twitter at CEO Haize. I'm on Twitter at HP Basketball across social media as well. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on Locked On NBA.